Hello, folks. Thank you for coming around today. This is Coffee Tea, You and Me. We've been doing this program now for so many years, but we've got an exciting schedule in front of us for the next few weeks. We're going to be breaking open um, one of my favorite talks and one of my favorite topics. And literally, a few years back, a group that I know about called 40 Plus asked me to come and speak to their members about finding ways to maximize the value of professional relationships. How do we do that and how do we structure that? And because they knew that I have been a networker for the last decade or so, I've been doing a very good job of building professional relationships and creating opportunities and helping to teach people how to do that as well. Those are some of the things that I specialize in, some of the things that I love to do. And I thought it was fascinating to have the opportunity. Of course, I love 40 Plus because they're one of those organizations that focus on retraining those of us that are over 40, right? That are in the marketplace that may need to update our skills to be relevant in today's marketplace and to do great things. And they've done such a wonderful job for so many years of making great things happen for individuals who are looking for positions, who are looking for opportunities. And it's always a fun thing. It's always great to be able to work with them and to be able to share with them. And so I love the presentation. So I gave a presentation to them, I've shared that with you guys on various social media platforms already. So if you want to go back on LinkedIn or go back on Facebook and check it out, you can do that on one of my channels, and that'll be great. You'll be able to see me doing my thing at 40 Plus. I think I gave a short presentation of about a half an hour, maybe 35, 40 minutes, but it was about really what we're going to talk about for the next 5 weeks is literally how to get into extending value in your professional relationships. How do you conceive it? How do you work it out? How do you think about it? These are things that we're going to talk about in today's episode. So I hope you sit back, relax, and enjoy. I see some of my friends are arriving, and we're going to bring it to you today, right after this brief interlude. So check this out. Yes, baby. I love my new commercial. That's kind of fun to be able to do that. And like I said earlier, welcome back to Coffee Tea, You and Me. This is our segment where we're getting into the details, getting into the opportunities to really figure out how to network well, how to maximize the value of all of our relationships, our professional relationships, to create whatever we need to create in our life and our business. And it's going to be, so many fun things going on out there. I figured out some new tools to play with, and I'm going to try some new things for this next series. So I'm hoping that you all will take a moment to invite your friends and come on by and make sure that people know about what we're doing. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our Facebook channel, catch the live series, because that is when you're going to really, really enjoy most of it. I'm going to do things over the next series. Like I'm going to start inviting some of our guests into our studio audience. So you'll be able to see some of our guests live on screen, especially those that are more interactive and have something to share about what we're talking about. And I think it's going to be fun. I see my friend Nancy out there. I love Nancy. She's asking me a question already. So Nancy's question is, did Kent create that commercial for you? And no, it was not. It was another gentleman, and I'll see if I can't dig up his name during the break, and I'll see if I can't email it to you. But I'll make a note for myself to get you the information or post his information, because he's really a great guy. He's got so many videos he's created for me, and I can't use them all because he just sort of showed me what he could do. But he is super talented, lives in Maryland, and he's just a great guy. And unfortunately, the name is not coming to me right off the top of my head, but because it's been a while since we had the chance to interact personally, and it's been through March, right? And so I've had these videos, like a ton of videos, in sort of like in storage on my computer, and I haven't used them. I mean, there's so many intro videos for this, that, Coffee Tea, You and Me, or something else, and it's great stuff. So anyway, I will share it with you in a little bit. And today I want to get into what our topic is going to be. We're going to be talking about how to develop your workplace relationships, professional relationships, referral-based relationships, and how to maximize the value of those relationships. And I said we're going to take a deep dive into all those things, but today I'd like to cover sort of the basics of why you even want to do these types of things, so you know some of the hardcore statistics and some of the great relationship ideas, relationship development ideas. We're going to share those with you, and we're going to go do an overview of what we're going to be talking about for the next 5 weeks. If you have questions, if you have things that you want to share about professional relationship development, maybe you want to come into the studio, maybe you want to work with us, and come live on the screen and share your ideas and thoughts with some of the members, feel free to go ahead and post that in the chat. Let me know what's going on. And if you have a program or a process or something that you think we should be interested in, you'd like other people to know about it, go ahead and post that in the chat as well. And I will see if I can't help you keep that live on screen, live on screen. So you'll be able to see, people will be able to see your chats like right now. That's my friend, my brother, Suresh Kimlani, right? He's in the house from Facebook, and he's paying attention, and I'm able to put his name and everything up on screen. So if you have something that you want to share, whether it's a link to a favorite site or your phone number or anything that's gonna help you grow your business, this is all about the opportunity for us to share together and for us to grow our opportunities and to do what we can to build a collaborative model. And so right now I've got quite a few of my friends in the house. If you want to tell us who you are, where you come from, that'd be great. That way people will get a sort of a feel for you, the studio audience kind of thing. And if you want to come on screen and you have something to share that's relevant to the topics we're talking about, do me a favor and again, send that to me in the chat, and I will make sure that I recognize you. I'll see if we can't pull you into the studio, so to speak, and people will be able to see you and talk to you as well. So it's up to you. You don't have to rush to do that. I think I got some crazy things going on in the studio. I'll be right back, and let me see if I can't deal with some of the things that are happening in my world right now. Okay, guys, my dryer was going off in the background back there. It's driving me crazy. Like, okay, I know the clothes are dry. You don't have to tell me anymore. So today, like I said, we're talking about some excellent stuff, and I think you guys are really going to love this topic as we get into it. And so we're going to start talking right off the bat about, networking. What do you need to do? How do you need to go about it? What are the most important things to think about when dealing with the value associated with your professional network, your professional relationships, and your networks, right? What do you think of? And I want you all to help me, guys, to help me. I want you to interact, engage with me here if possible. When you think of professional relationships, when you think of maximizing the value of those professional relationships, what do you think about? I can tell you for me, I think about what it's going to take to create leverage in those relationships, meaning what does another person have to add for me, with me, and for me, that's going to help me do and accomplish and achieve things that I couldn't necessarily achieve all by myself. So I think about leverage a lot when it comes to professional relationships. I think about what it means to share resources with other people. I ask myself quite a bit, what is it that I bring to the table that's unique? What is it that I bring to the table that's special, that I can share? And then how do I articulate what I bring to the table for others so that others can grab a hold of that? It's very, very important, because when you look at maximizing the value of something, you have to think, I think, first of all, how do you assess the value? How do you assess the value that you bring to the table? And how do you assess the value that other people bring to the table? And when I say the table, I mean the collaboration table, the table where we come together, we share resources, and we figure out the best way to work together to accomplish something that we both want to accomplish. This is the collaboration table. And, there's some very unique ideas out there that people have when it comes to networking. Some people think that it's about introducing yourself. If I can introduce myself, then I'm actually networking. Some people think that it's about schmoozing or making contact, right? And they're more concerned with their image and their brand than they are concerned about anything else. Some people are just want to exchange business cards or contact information to follow up with people later on, and they don't really understand how important it is to establish relationship, to bring something of value to the table that someone might be interested in. And sort of the best example I can give you, and I use this all the time, is the same example of dating. When you are dating, the whole reason to date is to determine what this relationship is going to mean to you, what this relationship is going to be for you. Now, you may have some ideas in your mind of what's possible, but those possibilities have dependencies, right? They have dependencies on you two being able to communicate well together. It has dependencies on you being interested in one another. It has dependencies on those very, very social, very, very deep emotional resonance type of ideas that human beings share, right? And so it's critically important that when you're thinking about networking, you're understanding, yes, networking is by definition a way of leveraging and creating higher forms of collaboration between people so that everybody can win, right? That's a definition of networking. It's also important to understand that in the doing of the networking, people have to feel good. They have to feel like you're somebody who they're going to have a positive interaction with, somebody who they're going to want to continue to have a positive interaction with for whatever reason, right? Maybe it's something that you offer, maybe it's something that they offer, maybe it's something that you're both offering, that you're figuring out how to share and work together. But if you're networking and you don't have a positive effect on one another, which basically inspires the law of reciprocity to kick in. And what do I mean by that? If I'm having a great time and you're having a great time and we're sharing ideas we do back and forth, or we're enjoying our relationship, our friendship, our communication, our conversation, our connection, right? If that's happening, then we're more likely to be inspired to do it again. We're more likely to place higher value on that connection and that relationship. We're more likely to seek ways to help and support one another and to find ways to accept and receive the support that others are offering. And it's because of that positive effect. And that has to be your intent if you're going to network. If you're going to network with people, you can't do it without, I'm going to say, three key social or positive interaction type of skills, right? The first skill you have to have if you're going to network is the ability to have interpersonal communication. Now, there's a lot to this. There's a lot to being able to communicate effectively with other people. It's easier to communicate with people who obviously speak your language, come from your same cultures, of similar age and values and background. Those communications are much easier to have. But I'm going to challenge you, I'm going to submit to you that those kinds of communications you already have in your current existing network. And the network of your future has to be more valuable than just being comfortable in the communication space. Comfort in the communication space is important, but it's not vital. In fact, I have a paradigm that I want to offer you that if you are a tad bit uncomfortable, that is a space where you can grow. If you're being stretched just a little bit out of your comfort zone, that is a space where you can experience growth, and that is a space where other people can experience growth. But if you're relaxed and you're comfortable and you're so chilled out and you're so, everything's working well and nobody has anything to say, and there's not really anything of substance going on. It's just we feel good together. It's more of a social thing. There's not a lot of growth in that. There's a lot of celebration of who we are and what we're all about in the good old days, and that's great. But the very definition of a good old boys network, right? It's closed to new people, new ideas, new concepts, new thoughts. And because of that, it becomes stagnant. And over time, it's no way for the people that are involved in that network to grow. You want your network to grow, not just in size, but in depth in terms of what skills and talents people can bring to the table and share with other people. So a part of assessing the value of your network is looking at it from a point of view and asking yourself some seriously deep questions. Will the network I currently have get me where I want to go in my future? And that's a serious question. I think that we all have to ask and all be ready to answer for ourselves. Will the network that I currently have essentially get me where I want to go in my future? Will these associates of mine be useful in creating the leverage that I need to create? If not, what do I do with them? Because your network, right? And for those of you who know me, I kind of think of a network in three tiers. The first tier of my network is my inner circle. These are people, maybe about 5 to 8 people, who know me really, really well. They know my thoughts, they know my values. They can relatively predict exactly how I would answer almost every question. And they know how to contact me. They know how to get my attention. They know I'm willing to give them more of my attention because they're close to me. They're intimate friends. They could be professional business friends. They could be social friends. They could be family, right? But they're my inner circle. My inner circle is protective of me. These are people who wish me no hurt, harm, or danger. They only want to support me. They only want to see me grow. They only want to see me develop. And they love to contribute to my growth and development, which means they're willing to share whatever resources they have to help me grow. These are the people that I would define and describe as my inner circle. Then there's my secondary circle, right? These are the people who, they know me, they like me, we have a good relationship, but the relationship is basically transactional. This would be the boss that never invites me out for the social hour or whatever. The associate, the work relationship I have with somebody, or even a partnership I may have with somebody, a joint venture that I'm doing with someone that may be good for both of us, but it's basically a transaction. It's basically, temporary. It's not somebody that I'm going to have to bring on board and move them into my inner circle and actually introduce them to other members of my inner circle. No, you don't meet the family, right? You don't bring people you're not serious with back to the inner circle, right? You don't bring them back to the family because you don't want them to mistake what's really going on, right? You don't want them to think they're on the inner circle, they're on the inside when they're really not. And you don't want people on the inner circle to think that this person is going to be one of us when they're really not, right? That's a transactional relationship. That's a temporary relationship. That's not somebody that's going to be with you for the long term, or for the duration of your vision, or wherever it is you're trying to accomplish. This person might be here to help you get a goal or two, but they're not really going to be here for the life achievement type of goals. They're not going to be in the inner circle. Those are secondary circle people. Now, that group could be quite sizable. That group, it depends on your level of personality, whether you're an introvert or what we would call an extrovert, right? And for those of us who are introverts, we have a whole different orientation to this thing, which I'm going to get into a little later on, probably next week. But it's important to know that personality and personality type matters a lot when it comes to how you're going, how many people you can have in your network at any one time. Because the transactional people, we can have quite a few transactional people in your network. Somebody who you like a lot, but they do your plumbing, and then you only call them when you have an issue. They only call you when they have an issue. You only talk to them for a specific reason that has a finite time period associated with it, and you're not going to talk to them over and over again. You're just going to see them through a project that you're working on or a program that you're working on. Those are transactional relationships. Those aren't long-term permanent relationships or long-term fixtures in your relationship sphere, so to speak, your network. So you can put quite a few people on that secondary circle. That third circle, that tertiary circle, that third one is where I know that person knows me. We've never had a transaction whatsoever. There's been no type of exchange at all. And they're on the tertiary circle. Yeah, I might have their contact information. I might recognize them if they walk in the room, but there's nothing about them. There's nothing about me there's nothing that has caused us to interact in a way that we've made a commitment to do something together. So there's been no transaction. So those people that are out on my tertiary network, right? That's third level. Now there's other levels, right? But these people I don't know. I don't know them. I've never met them. They don't know me. They've never met me. We don't know each other. And that might be at the fourth level, right? Or fifth or sixth or whatever you want to do it. But you have to organize your networks in a way so that you can figure out how to then value. Because my inner circle network people, they have a different value to me than my secondary circle network and my tertiary circle network and my outer network. Those people have different values, have a different value to me. Now it's a mistake, and I'm gonna say this as clearly as I possibly can. It is a mistake to consider everyone in your network of the same value, because if you start falling victim to phrases like I treat everyone the same versus I treat people the way they deserve to be treated. I give everybody respect versus people who have earned a higher level of trust with me have gained a higher level of respect from me. because it's quite inhuman to think that you're going to treat everybody the same way. And one of the thought processes and principles I've learned in life is that fair and equal do not mean the same thing. They're not synonymous. Equal opportunity under the law might sound fair, right? But in practice, it can be very unfair to a lot of people. And so if you're dealing with somebody who you need to have a high level of trust with, you're going to need to figure out how to get them in the inner circle so they can spend more time with you. They can have more frequent meetings with you. The depth of what you do together can become of a higher value for both of you. But now, if you just want to have an arm's length relationship with somebody, you can't trust them to the same level as somebody you're willing to invite in and have a closer relationship with. I hope that sinks in. Hope everybody understands that. So it's critically important when you think about these relationships we're talking about, these work relationships or professional relationships. There's no difference really between how our brain conceives this relationship. You know, we might put different labels on it. We might put different ideas behind it, but literally these relationships are the same or similar. We're the same person everywhere we go. Whether we dress up nice or don't, we're still essentially that same person. And who we are it shines through and comes through more with people who we trust and people who trust us in return. So trust is the currency that we talk about when it comes to professional relationships. It really allows the relationship to bloom or fail when there's little or no trust. And we're going to talk over the next few weeks on everything you need to know to build maximum amounts of trust with the right people, and then demonstrate your integrity with those people on a consistent, regular enough basis for that trust to bloom into something super special. But I want you to consider just again for yourself what it is and what it means to have valuable professional relationships to you. And we're going to run through some exercises together. So if you've got some pen and paper, you want to do this on your own, or if you want to put your answers in the chat and you want to interact and engage, that's great. It doesn't matter how you want to do this, but I'm going to lead you through the true voice questions, or a micro version of the true voice questions. And I've already answered them for myself, but I want to lead you guys through these questions because I want to find out what your true voice is. And I want you to hear what that means when it comes to building relationships. Now, it just so happens that a true voice is a series or a process I created to help people give other people the most valuable, useful information to help them build trust right away. I read a book called The Speed of Trust by Stephen M. R. Covey. And in this book, it talks about the formula for creating maximum trust right away and why you want to do it right away. And just real briefly, let me share this with you. The faster you get to trust with people that you meet, the faster you ignite and turn on the possibilities for that collaborative energy to happen, the faster you create opportunities for them to invest in you, for them to provide support for you, maybe fulfill a role, whether that's a paid role or a non-paid role or however you want to do it. They will do it for you if they feel that trust is high. If they don't feel trust is high, then they're going to be reluctant, as you might be yourself. Be reluctant to extend yourself into a relationship where there's not a high level of trust. And so everything I do when it comes to teaching networking or it's really all about how do you get to trust fast, and then how do you hold on to it? right? You want to get there fast and you want to hold on to it because it can't do what it needs to do for you if you don't do it, if you don't do it in that way. So let's talk about it. Let's break it down. What does it take for you when it comes to professional relationships? What does it look like for you? What is it? What's useful about it for you? And I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I'm going to ask you the true voice questions because I found that process is one of the smartest processes you could ever use to really understand where somebody else is coming from. What is their voice really saying? That's the reason why I put that program together in the first place. And the true voice process is basically an acronym called VOICE. And the acronym stands for Vision, Opportunities, Instincts, Commitments, and Environments. Vision, opportunities, instincts, commitments, and environments. These are the 5 elements of true voice. Now, if you take my true voice questionnaire, which I will give to you, send to you, all you got to do is ask it for me, ask me for it in the chat, and I will post it for you that you can get to the true voice questionnaire. But the whole purpose of the true voice questionnaire is to help others discover their voice. And so it's literally something that you might sit down with someone and go, okay, I'm going to ask you these questions. And there's in the questionnaire itself, there's maybe 14 to 16 questions, but I'm going to give you the brief sort of 5-question version of True Voice as a demonstration of how you could think about what would happen for you if you were to maximize the value of every professional relationship that you have or will have. Meaning you become great at getting into relationships and creating immediate value out of those relationships. If you develop the skill, the talent, the resources, the strength, the resilience you need, the grit to really, really become a professional networker, an expert in this regard, right? If you take the time to invest in yourself, the time, effort, energy, whatever you need to do to become an expert in this sphere, what can happen for you? So the first question I'm going to ask you is the vision question, right? And I want you to think about this, and I want you to jot down a few notes. If you want to discuss it in the chat, feel free to do so. If you want to post it, if I think it's something good in the chat, then I'll go ahead and post it on the world, on the web for everybody else to see. By the way, this is being recorded, so everybody's going to be able to see whatever you share forever. So it's going to be up there on my Facebook channel, on my YouTube channel forever. So I want you to engage and I want you to interact, but make sure you hit the spell check so because you don't want to embarrass yourself, right? So think about this. For vision, the first question, I want you to name 3 to 5 things that you could be, do, or have if you were to become amazing at professional networking. Let me rephrase this. If you will become the best professional networker that you possibly could be, what is it? This is a grand vision out in the future, somewhere in the distance. What is it that you could be, do, or have? And I just want you to jot down a few quick off the top of your mind notes. And so when I did this, immediately I realized that if I had built this wonderful network that was powerful, that was resourceful, that was willing to lend their resources to me and me lend my resources to them for us to share, and what would happen? I would feel a lot safer in my endeavors, right? I would be so much more energized and courageous in everything I did. I would basically be someone who would enjoy being accountable to my friends and my associates, even my family members who got involved, so that I know that they would help me. They would help me, and then I would feel comfortable enough to stretch myself further and further outside of my comfort zone, so I could grow, and so that I could become what I'm supposed to become, and I can help others grow and help them become what they're supposed to become. And I think that's a very, very important thought. To be those things. I could be a thought leader in my industry and in my space. Somebody that's well respected, somebody that's adored. I want to be adored. I want to be accepted. I want to be tolerated. I want to have people, refer me and look out for me, so to speak, right? Now, that's what I'll be. That's what I'll be able to be if I would become this excellent networker that I'm talking about. Now, what will I be able to do if you become this person that understands how to create valuable professional partnerships and relationships and so on and so forth? What will you be able to do? Well, for me, I'll be able to be a well-paid platform speaker at conferences and associations or events of any type all over the world. People will call on me to come and talk and share and present my ideas. I'll be able to do that, right? I'll be able to write meaningful, insightful content that people can grab a hold of and use and feel their own professional growth and development come from it because they now know what to do to get to where they want to get to. They'll be motivated. They'll be excited. They'll have something tangible that has increased their body of knowledge, and they'll be able to apply it in a way that increases their wisdom and expertise. I'll be able to do that if I focus on this correctly. I'll also be able to have a reputation that's about integrity. I'll be winning in the professional development field. People will, have to come to me, or not have to, but will desire to come to me to learn how to construct classes, how to construct organization, how to make sure that things are working the way they should work to maximize the value out of the relationships. Dr. Covey once said this, and I just live by this. When it comes to leadership, you lead people, but you manage things. You see, with people, the goal is to be effective. With everything else, the goal is to be efficient. So if you want to maximize effectiveness with people, you're going to have to learn some of the things we're going to share with you over the next few weeks. You have to really learn it and really understand it and really be able to functionally use it, right? So that's the vision question. The second question I'm going to talk to you about is the opportunity question, right? And opportunities are those things that are outside of you that if you take advantage of those opportunities, they will make all the difference for you. That's what an opportunity is, right? So what proactive steps, second question, what proactive steps can you think of that you might want to take some type of advantage of sooner versus later that will help you get in front of the known external opportunities that you have in front of you in your life right now, in your business right now? What relationships, what opportunities, what things are out there in front of you that you need to take advantage of that will move the needle forward for you, that will help you get to that vision we just talked about earlier? What are the opportunities that you need to take advantage of? Now, we already know, okay, obviously, I want to be an amazing speaker. I want to be somebody who is called on, who's known, right? And so anytime I get an opportunity to speak, one, that's great. Every time I get an opportunity to share my ideas and thoughts or build new content for some organization, that's a great thing for me to be able to do because I'm practicing my art, my craft. Somebody's giving me the opportunity to do it. They're cutting back their egos and letting go of the corporate, baggage, and we're moving forward with a new training and development program for people. That's an opportunity for me. And so the best way for me to get those opportunities, right, is to continue to build strong relationships with national boards and national associations. Anybody who's on the National Association of anything, I want to get in front of. I want to be able to share my expertise and talent with them, because you never know who might be a sponsor, who might be a person who will bring me in to the boardroom and give me opportunities to share with the people who make executive decisions for the organization. That'd be great for me, right? I need to be attractive to publishers. Not just writers, but actual publishers. I need to be the kind of person that publishers come to me and say, I want to give you a book deal. And I know what that means. That means I've got to leverage my current content and develop a following. I have to have so much popularity out there that people just generally, publishers know that people want to hear from me. And so I want to be so attractive to them that they're offering me deals to do books, which also means I have to be put in certain positions, right? Because people who publish books and they do really well usually already have a platform to begin from. Maybe they're the president of some organization, maybe the country, and now they're going to put out a book and tell all stories of whatever happened while they were in their tenure, and then people are going to buy it up because everybody wants to know what happens behind the veil. Everybody wants to know what goes on behind the scenes, But I want to be the kind of person that builds that audience and builds that attraction, with a transparent nature to it. I don't want to be this person that I kept it all to a secret, and then all of a sudden, boom, I got something to share. I don't value that kind of opportunity. I want to make sure people are close along the way, and if they have questions, they can answer those questions. They don't feel like the distance between me and them is so far that there's a barrier that's going to make it difficult for them to interact, for them to share. So that's big opportunities for me. I love sharing. I love, and by the way, what does that mean for my friends? It means I'm going to ask you, get engaged with me, share my content, say yes when I ask you to do something, because I'm asking you to do something, not just because it's good for me, because it's good for both of us. I want to be that type of insightful person. I want to make sure that I am creating opportunities, not just for me, but for other people around me, because I truly believe none of us is separate. None of us is a single entity. None of us are out here by ourselves. Not really. We might have a title or role, but we don't really have, a lot of stuff. And let me see what some of my friends have said so far. Suresh has said that I'll confidently and trustworthy for connecting with people around me and all over the world. That's good. That's beautiful, Suresh. And then Nancy said this. She thinks that it's important to develop teacher guides, to be confident about offering goods and services. She'd have abundant financial resources. These are things that she will be, do, and have if she becomes the fabulous networker, right? That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for sharing. The third question is instinctively. This is about instincts, right? What do your instincts tell you that you might want to work on right now to move things forward? Not the external stuff, the opportunities, but internal. What do you have to change about you instinctively right now? You already know it. If you want to achieve these things, what is it that you have to change about you to take hold and begin to make some momentum happen on your objectives that we already talked about, on your vision, right? What do you have to do differently? What do you have to be differently? What do you have to have that you don't have right now? Your instincts. What are they telling you? What's your gut telling you about that? Go ahead and write that down. Make a list for yourself or put it in the chat. That's fine. If it's something you feel comfortable sharing, I'd love to hear your ideas. Now, for me, I know what I have to do. I feel like I know what I have to do. That's because it's instinct, right? So I don't know. I know because I haven't done the research, but I know I have to do the market research, right? This is like Nancy already said that. It's important, right? So instinctively, I know I got to take a serious look at my brand and I got to bring everything in my brand that other people are going to see up to date. Including, I got to figure out how to put a background in these chats and all that kind of stuff. Because yes, we're in my home office, and I have my little wonderful machine over here where I work out and all that kind of stuff. But I don't necessarily want that in my professional videos, and I have to figure out a way to get a backdrop and a background and all that kind of stuff. I got to do that. So it's about updating my brand because we're gonna be doing more and more of this digital stuff. So I have to do that. There's no question for me that it has to be done, and I can't just limp along and not make the requisite changes that I need to make, right? I got to tighten up the look and feel of all of my key offerings, all of my branding material, all of my promotional material, all of my programmatic, thematic material. All of that has to be updated, and it has to get a unification type of look to it, right? So I maybe I got to call on some of my friends who are graphic designers and copywriters and stuff like that to start to help me to develop a common look about everything I'm doing, including my websites and all that kind of good stuff. I also may need to identify and begin to comment on other people's stuff, other publishers, other bloggers, other writers, other content producers. I need to, especially those that have a popularity, those who have a following, a large popularity and following, I need to start to appear on their show. I need to start to cross-reference their programs and their ideas. I need to drag their audience into my audience and vice versa, so that, I need to begin to share those opportunities with people in order to increase the value of my brand. It's very, very important. Every time I get on a blog or a radio show of some type, I need to be able to post that, but I also need my friends to pick it up and post it and share it themselves, because that's very helpful to me creating a following. And creating a following is what I need to do to get the publishers excited about me, right? Or the producers or whatever else. So it's very important. Instinctively, I know I have to do that. What do you have to do? What do you have to do instinctively? You already know it differently than you've done in the past in order to begin to put more momentum in front of those goals and that vision that we talked about in question number 1. Okay. Let me see if anybody had anything to say about that. You're right, Nancy. I agree with you. You do have to learn new products. You have to have more meaning, more focus on fewer things. I absolutely 100% agree with you on that. It's very difficult to multitask. Our brains won't let us. They just won't let us come up with multiple different ideas and focus on multiple different ideas all simultaneously. That's why I'm an organizational nut job. If I don't get up in the morning and plan every step to a great detail, then I'm going to be lost for my day, because things are going to happen. They're going to hijack my brain. I'm going to be all over the place, and the day will have gone by and I would have gotten a lot done, but I won't have gotten a lot done that's meaningful in the way that I need to get it done. And meaningful, specific to me and specific to my goals and my vision, and there's not alignment there. But when I do my planning in the morning and I do my review at night, then I'm ready, and I stay ready, because I always know what's next. I always know what's in front of me. I always know how that I figure out ways to be more efficient with my time, and I build that into my systems and programs and standard operating procedures. Yeah, somebody gave me the love button. I love that one too, right? That's probably Rose. Good to see you, Rose. If, by the way, I told the others, if you have something that you want to share with anybody about how to get in contact with you, or what you're doing and what's going on, definitely put that information in the chat and I will post it. As you see, Nancy's post is up here, which is really cool. I've learned how to do that thing. And I'm also going to be, over the next series, I'm going to be inviting people into the studio audience to talk about any of the stuff that we're talking about. And I'm going to give you an overview of what we're going to be talking about in the next couple of weeks, really, really specifically. Rose said, I know you too. Yeah, I do know you. That's great. So definitely post your information if you want to, and I'll share it with the studio audience as well as with people who are going to, this is going to be recorded, by the way. So people are going to be seeing these recordings like forever. And so if there's something that you want to share, something that you want to say, go ahead and post it, because we want to have an open and open dialogue and open universal people. Suresh says he opens himself up to learn ideas and ways to show what he can give to society. That's very important, because reciprocity, like I said earlier, is a serious part of networking. And it's always this chicken or the egg idea. It's this idea that, if some people like to wait and see if somebody shares with me, then I'll share with them. If you show me yours, then I'll show you mine, kind of thing. And that's not necessarily as inviting as you need to be. That's really a passive way to network. And those that are passive in networking don't get as far in terms of depth or intensity in their relationships. But those who offer something of value right up front and say, listen, this is what I have of value. Could you use this? Could this be useful for you? And then we have a discussion around it, and then we can fall back on knowing that, yes, this is amazing. This is something that I could use, and it can be helpful to me, and it will secure and move the relationship that much further faster. I give you a perfect example in my relationship with Suresh. I absolutely trust Suresh. I absolutely believe that he's the best tailor that has ever existed on the planet. He's definitely the best that I know, right? And I know quite a few. I trust him. I trust him not because he's the cheapest guy in town, because he's not. He offers a quality product, a quality price. He offers a quality product for a good price. And, you can't beat that. In fact, his son was just at my house this morning measuring me, right? And helping me refit a suede jacket. He left with my jacket, and I'm certain that Suresh is going to call me. They're going to call me and text me back and tell me how much it's going to cost me to get it fixed. And I'm going to say yes, and we're going to push the button, and I'm going to have a nice suede jacket. It looks really good. I've held on to this jacket for years, and I never had it tailored or altered because I just never had the time or never thought about it, and it was just another thing to do. And it just so happened that I had an opportunity, and I saw Suresh's name come up on something else, and I'm like, you know what? We got to work on this like now. Why wait? But the moment it hit me, had he not been at the last meeting or shared that information, then I probably wouldn't have thought to call him in this opportunity. So I say all this to say frequency of contact matters in your network. You want to be in front of the people in your network, especially those that are valuable to you, because oftentimes you could be of service to them. I don't even consider this a transaction that, I value at a high level. I don't. But I do want to be able to show off Suresh. So I'll make sure that probably whenever it comes back to me, I'll put it on and show it off to you guys, so you guys can see my beautiful suede jacket that has been freshly tailored and redone by Suresh and his son. But that's what happens when you have trust in someone's abilities and someone's talent, and you don't want them to go out of business. You don't want them to move on to some other market and never see you again, because when you need them, they just might not be there for you, right? You want to make sure that you're refreshing and keeping in front of your networks. So here's what we're going to be talking about for the next couple of weeks. And I want to share this information with you really quickly. And then I want to answer any questions that anybody has about anything. So be prepared to just, engage. I'm looking for, over the next couple of weeks, a ton of engagement. Because I'm going to do a lot of exercises with you guys. I'm going to do a lot of case studies with you guys. And I'm going to make you think, because I want you to think about what all these topics mean to you. There's about 20 topics I'm going to cover over the next 5 weeks, all having to do with developing your professional relationships. and making them work and valuing them, right, appropriately. I'm going to talk about the advantages of being an introvert for those of you who are introverts, because there are some unique and distinct advantages that we have. And yes, I am one of you. I'm going to talk about creating powerful strategies. How do you create strategy? How do you think forward into your networking future to develop the kinds of networks that you need to have then, now? How do you get in front of that, right? And then I'm gonna talk to you about how do you create execution strategies. How do you, because it's great to have plans that you well written and well structured and well thought through plans about how you're going to do what you're going to do, where you're going to do it. It's great, right? But if you can't execute, then you've been good at planning. And so we're going to talk about how to make sure that your execution strategy is at a high level. And then we're going to talk about how to rebuild the faith in others that may have been damaged or lost. Because it's easy when you network incorrectly, when you do it wrong, it's easy for people to lose faith in you, and it's easy for you to lose faith in others. But it's hard to keep the faith. It's hard to develop the relationships and to make the relationships work. That requires work that most people don't really know even how to do it. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about nurturing your values proactively. How do you keep the right thing in front of you all the time so that you can be a person who is responsive versus reactive? And if you don't know what I mean by that, I'll explain it to you. But it's important that you not be, especially with people, a reactive person. Because a reactive person is only reacting out of emotions and feelings, and usually they're not good emotions and feelings. You want to be responsive so that you expect whatever's happened is going to happen, and you know how to respond to what you're seeing and what is happening. It's much different than most people are used to being. Most people are used to just kind of flying off the cuff and doing whatever they feel at the moment. And it's often tragic, and you can't afford to be tragic and be a good networker at the same time. It just doesn't work. We're going to talk about the first 4 things we're going to talk about next week. The next part of our workshop, so we're going to talk about communicating effectively. How do you communicate effectively? How do you do it in a way that you're understood as well as you're understanding others? It's very, very important, because if you don't understand each other and that's forcing you to make a lot of assumptions, and usually your assumptions are wrong. And so I'm going to teach you all kinds of ways to communicate more effectively, quickly, with people that work and people that it counts with, right? We're going to talk to you about how to find your super promoters. These are people who will be great at putting you on the right stage in front of the right audiences at the right time. Even they'll be good at preparing you to be on that stage so that when you show up just being you win. It's all about being on the right stage at the right time with the right people. We're going to talk about refreshing your inner circle. How do you get rid of the noise in your inner circle? The people who are just really shouldn't be there. They just happen to fall into your inner circle because of frequency of contact, but you didn't choose them. They're kind of like, they're just there. Well, they're taking up your bandwidth, your emotion to you personally and professionally. You don't want negative people in your inner circle. You don't want people in your inner circle who are dragging you down, who are draining your resources, who are creating more problems than that they're bringing than they're solving. So you want to make sure that that's taken care of, and you want to do that really well. And then the very next week after that, we're going to get into how do you add an advisory council? How do you create an advisory council that really, really works? We're going to talk about how do you develop a more collaborative mindset? How do you start to change how you think so that you can collaborate better with others, and what's the value of collaboration, and how do you use that to maximize whatever you're trying to maximize. And we're going to talk about how you avoid the traps that most people find themselves in when they think they're networking, or when they try to develop professional relationships, when they think they're putting their best foot forward. What are the traps that they typically will get themselves into? And then how do you get out of those traps if you find that you are in those traps? And then next, we're going to talk about how do you act on principle? How do you make sure that when the rubber meets the road and somebody asks you the toughest questions about what and why and what you're doing and why you're doing it, and you can answer without waver, without exception, without any type of capitulation, because you're forward thinking, you know why you're thinking and what you're thinking, you're very grounded in who you are and what you're all about, and you can act and move forward. And then you can do that, other people will jump on the bandwagon with you. They'll jump on and join in to do everything they possibly can to help you out when you know how to act on principle. First, when you know what a principle is and you know how to act accordingly. The next topic we're going to talk about is how do you create magical moments with people most of the time? How do you make sure that you're bringing your A game and it's being accepted for exactly what it is? My favorite topic we're going to talk about is the power of the ask. Why is it important? What does it do for you? Why is it vital to relationships? For relationships where nothing is being asked and nothing is being offered, you don't have a relationship anymore. You're done. There's nothing left for this. You have a roommate. You have somebody you just exist with, because there's nothing happening that you can point back to and say, my life is better because this person, things are better because that happened with this person. You're just mutually existing. I don't even know if that's a relationship, but we're going to get into that. And we're going to get into the return on investment of attention. I have a process and a thought about paying attention. Attention being currency that you can trade back and forth. And you can take that attention to create value if you know how to do it. So return on investment, or return on of individual ideas, how do you do it with attention? And then we're going to talk about, the next week, we're going to talk about collaboration, the ultimate we thing. What is that really? What is a collaboration? What does it mean? And how do you get to the values needed that you need to get to quickly to begin this collaboration process if you decide this is something that you want to do? We're going to talk about how do you build on relationships with frequency and intensity. How do you keep the momentum going? How do you keep the relationship valuable and keep increasing the value of the relationship? We're going to talk about how do you create 360-degree mentoring? How do you deal with feedback? How do you use it? How do you grow it? How do you, make sure that you are investing it in the right places? We're going to talk about how to deliver magical stories. How do you tell stories that people will never forget and then repeat them in places where you need them to be repeated? Stories that stick. And last, we're going to talk about the value of representation. How do you get people to represent you in places where you need to be represented, thereby increasing your value and theirs? So those are things we're going to talk about over the next couple of weeks. And we're going to take a deep dive in all those discussions. We got exercises, we got case studies, we got all kinds of stuff all lined up for you. All you got to do is show up. All you got to do is hang in there with me. All you got to do is not keep me a secret and share it. If we can have a room, we can have 60 people checking this out. Great. We got capacity for it. We can do it. So I invite you to invite all your friends. Let them know. The next couple of weeks at Coffee Tea, You and Me is going to be unhinged. I mean, we're going to go there. We're going to go to a magical place. Okay, so today we talked about creating value in your relationship, and we talked about why it's important, some of the methodologies you might want to think about using, some of the principles and ideas and concepts you might want to think about engaging with. We also talked about an overview. We're going to go for the next 5 weeks. This is week 1 of 5. We're going to take a deep dive into all the different topics. And for those of you interested in that, you can come back and pick that up. So I guess we're done. We're done with the discussion for today. But I want to make sure that any of you who have a question about anything regarding professional relationship development, give me a call. Talk to me. My number is coming across your screen. I don't have a problem with chatting with people. I don't have a problem with people reaching out to me. I want the engagement. I want the feedback. If you are enjoying what we're putting in, give me some feedback. Follow me on LinkedIn. Follow me on Facebook. Give me a recommendation on LinkedIn if you like what we're doing. I would really appreciate that. And what I do for my friends who do for me is something amazing. Oh my God. I gotta post this. My good friend Rose. Well, we already knew you were going to double that business. It didn't have anything to do with me. But I'm so happy for you. I'm happy that you're doing well, and I hope you continue. I know you're going to continue. Ultimately, I want to be on the Rose Bono bandwagon. I want to make sure that people know that hey, I'm in her back. I'm in her back pocket, man. I want to make sure she knows that we're riding with you. I'm gonna be ride or die, right? So it's good. It's good to know that you're doing really well. That's nice. Anybody else got anything to say or share? Any questions that you have about anything regarding networking or any issues that you're having that you'd like to discuss or even get some feedback on? I'm here. We're ready to go. We got some time. Feel free to ask. I know for those of you who used to be with Panera with me, it was mandatory. I'd make you ask me a question. But I'm not going to do that to you. I'm just going to say, if there's something that you want to know more about, or something that you want to learn more about, maybe True Voice, something like that, let me know. I'll be more than happy to share that information with you. I don't see anything up. I don't see anything coming up. I know we got a 5-second delay. And so I'm going to hold on for a second. I'm going to get a drink of water because I'm starving. I've been talking too much. And, I know what I wanted to do. I wanted to share that link with you guys that I promised that I would share with you of my talk at 40 plus. And then when you watch this, I want you to know I don't want to be a professional comedian. I know it sounds like it from this presentation, but I had so much fun with 40 plus, and I am so impressed with them that I cannot wait to get back in the seat, invited to work with them again, because they made me raise my game. They made me
the best opportunities.
They made me just literally be better than I have ever been in front of a studio audience. And I was so thankful for them. It's just crazy. And so I'm going to share with you the link. Hopefully it comes through. Yeah, there it is. It's on YouTube, and now it's in the Facebook feed. You can go to that link and check out that particular video, and it's going to be a preview to everything we're going to talk about for the next 5 weeks. And so that'll give you some cheat sheet kind of homework to do. If you do that, then you're going to be ready for the next 5 weeks, and you're going to have some thoughts already incubating in that world that you'll be able to share and be on with others. If there's something in there, by the way, And I think I posted the list of the topics we're going to be talking about. If not, I will. If there's something in there that you really want to take a deep dive in and you want to maybe want to even be a part of the studio audience, let me know, and I'll bring you on live, and I'll bring you into the studio, and you can show up live and share whatever you want to share and talk about whatever you want to talk about. I trust you. And if you say something crazy, then I'll just take you out of this. I just kick you out of the studio. That's kind of how that'll work. But you got to have your camera on. You got to be camera ready. You know, you got to be ready to be in front of people. And so that's something that you want to consider. I'm all in. I'm all in for you. I'm all in for us. And any small women-owned, minority-owned business leaders that you can introduce me to, I'm all about. And so this has been Coffee Tea, You and Me. I had a great time. I hope you did. It is now 4:12. We're going to call it a day. Good to see you guys. And I'm going to play my video for you one more time as we leave the studio. You guys got to check this out. This is like so cool. Okay, guys, bye-bye. Have a great one.